welcome. We are here for Ashley's Heart Song on the Win Win Women TV network. This is the place where we get out of the stress and back into our body, our life, and our business. When we tap into the song of our heart, that is when we master the mind and the stress that can steal our life. Welcome to today's show. If you are joining us live, welcome to the live experience of Ashley's Heart Song. And if you're watching the replay, I am so glad you found us. Today is going to be a treat because we are going to dive into that conversation around stress and how it's impacting our body and how we feel it in our body, but then how we can resolve it, how we can regulate it, how we can get back on top of it so that it doesn't master us, but we master it. And I have a very special guest today. I am so grateful for this beautiful lady. We met because of a connector. Have you ever been with one of those people that knows how to connect others together? And when I'm in conversation with the beautiful Kara Jean, she was my guest last week. When I'm in conversation with her, we're talking about what our shows are about and what we're doing and what we want to go. She says, "Oh, I know someone that you need to meet. I need to pair y'all up together. You speak the same language." And so, sure enough, we got together and she so wonderfully said, "Yes, I'll be on your show." So, I have the beautiful Madhurima Sappatti. I hope I did that. If I butchered that at all, I'm going to be corrected in a minute. Oh, I'm so grateful that she is on the show with me. Y'all, she is in India. And she is a global management facilitator and award wellness coach, award-winning wellness coach who loves to support multi-passionate, ambitious dreamers manage their stress and prevent burnout. She is on a mission to make stress management fun, because why not? Welcome to today's show, Madhurima. I am so glad you are with me today.
I'm so glad to be here. Oh my gosh, this is such an amazing opportunity. And yeah, Karajin is amazing when it comes to connecting people. And I'm so glad she connected both of us because when I started talking to her, I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, speaks the same language. I can't wait to have a conversation and see how I can support your audience and just be in a space where we can bounce ideas and thoughts and strategies together and support however we can to the world. And so I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And you did not butcher my name at all. It is Madhurima Sappatti. Let's go. Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, stress has taken over the world, I feel like.
Mhm.
Whenever you hear anything in the media or talking with people in conversation, I just feel that people's heads are just swimming in this stress. Are you finding that same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of that has to do, like, I don't really touch up a lot on the side of politics, but politics has been such a huge thing in the recent events that it has made people kind of like be in this constant state of stress or like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And so, even outside of that, by default, we are living in the digital era, and that makes us prone to impulses, inputs, and so many things just coming at us from all around the directions and just makes us feel extremely chaotic. So, stress is definitely one of the highest things that people are paying attention to because they have to pay attention to it because they can't ignore it anymore, I feel. So, no, I feel you. It is definitely rising up and rising. How that shifts people's perspective is something that we need to keep a watch out for, though, because um, while stress is rising, people do tend to ignore it a lot of times. Understandable, that has been the way that stress has been managed for a really long time, is just ignore it till it goes away. But it is also a really good and beautiful opportunity for us to explore it in a way to figure out how we can manage it and move it forward and not let it take over our life. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's so true. When we do anything from that reactionary state, it's never
Mhm.
going to be good. never going to be good.
Absolutely.
Do you know of a time, Marina, can you pinpoint a moment in your life where you actually found yourself in that place where you were in that reactionary state because of the stress and didn't have, maybe you didn't have the tools at the time, or maybe it just carried you away? And then how did you turn that around for yourself?
Hmm. That's a very good question, which has a very complex answer, mostly because of the fact that I've been stressed out pretty much all my life before I got into this work that I'm doing right now. And so, for a really long time, I was often in that reactionary state of like, oh my gosh, if this happens, then this is going to happen. I think one of the craziest examples and most recent example that I can give you was back when I first started my coaching journey around 4 years or so ago. That was the most reactionary time that I can remember of. But I was in the space of like, I want to support people. I want to do as much as I can for people, but I was also extremely stressed out at that point in time. And what that led me to feel like is if I support someone, they are going to do better in their life, which will make other people around them jealous, which will then lead to them being like, potentially hurting the people who I supported, and then their family is going to come and they are going to be like, Madhurima is the reason why she was doing better in life. And so they are going to come and hunt me down all the way in India. And I was like, this does not make any logical sense, but it did for a really long time in my head, which really turned me off from the concept of coaching, even though I knew that that is what my heart was calling out for, was to support as many people as I can through the same journeys that I have been in. And initially, I wasn't in the stress management realm. I was all around reconnecting with yourself and figuring out who we are as an individual and redefining ourselves, kind of a thing, connecting with our purpose. And so I was really scared and really stressed out. Thankfully, I did have a lot of coaches to kind of guide me through that journey and be like, you're good, don't worry, we got this. And so at that point in time, I did not have any tools. I was also coming out of a really major burnout of my life, which lasted about 2.5 years, to kind of get out of it properly, the after effects of it all. And so I was in a very reactionary space of like, everything is going to come crashing and burning down, and I would be the reason why it would happen. And so I was like, in that space where I did not have any tools, but it also made me realize that I can't keep moving through life from a space of this, from the space of instant reaction as opposed to response. And that really kind of started me on the journey of stress management and understanding what that looks like for me. And because I was once again surrounded by coaches, the words emotional regulation, nervous system regulation kind of started coming into my realm of existence. And I was like, oh, there are tools that exist for this stuff. I just didn't have access to it before. And now I do. And so I started exploring it further and recognizing what that looks like. Till I reached a point where I was like, I bet there are other people going through this and I would love to support them with that. So, yeah. I did have a lot of times where I was in this reactionary space. Thankfully, I started this journey and received the support to kind of guide me through that journey where I, even in this day and age, and let's be honest, just because I'm a global stress management facilitator doesn't mean I don't get stressed out. I do. And the conversation is never about not getting stressed out. The conversation is about being able to manage it and get out of it quicker as opposed to staying in that space. So, the more tools and resources I have, the easier it gets to get out of stress or have like multiple options. If this is not working, you can try this. And if that is not working, you can try this. So, um, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Well, it did. That was beautiful. So, can you share with us some quick stress management techniques
Mm,
that you share with your multi-passionate individuals that they can incorporate
absolutely.
into daily routines, right? It's,
Mm,
it's so funny, Madhurina, the daily routines, when I witnessed that, I was just with my mom and dad the other day, and my dad had started doing some exercise, and he goes, "Okay, I want you to check my form," because I've been in the personal fitness training arena for decades. And I said, sure, we can do that. And so he starts doing something. I correct his form and I said, now, safety reasons, I want you to maybe consider doing it in the other room with this. And he says, you know what, Ashley? I go over here, I put my coffee on, and while that water is heating up, I come over here and I do the squats. And then
Mm,
I go and I put the pod in and I come back and I do my leg swings. I thought, that's so great. He was working this activity into his daily routine. And I think
mhm,
that's so important for us when we're thinking of that, when we're in the midst of the stress. Okay, what's something that we can put into our daily routine that's easy to remember, and
mm.
where we can fit it in while we're brushing our teeth or
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah, so please share.
No, I love that. I love that. I would say I would love to start off with sharing this really cool thing, which is at the base of it all, stress management. The core techniques revolve around three areas that I have kind of figured out from my own experience as well as supporting other clients. And the three core areas or elements of stress management is grounding, movement, and emotional regulation. Pretty much any stress management technique that I have come across comes into this triangle, a mix of these things, or all of them together, or individually. Now, what that looks like is the game of exploration. It's the detective work that we do is how do we make this fun and exciting for people? Uh, how do we do it in a way where it becomes exciting and something that people look forward to? I think a lot of times people assume that stress management is going to be this heavy thing that's going to take a lot of time and energy, but honestly, if you do three things throughout the day at any point in the day for a couple of minutes, that's more than enough to prevent the stress to overwhelm you and move on and stack up and go on to the next day and stack up some more. Now, if you are extremely stressed out, you are going to need longer durations of time to kind of move through it. But if you are starting the journey of stress management and you're just starting, it's a good space to kind of like experiment with ideas and see what works best. Personally, for me, routines, I love that you mentioned that. Actually, routines is something that's really, really powerful because I have a morning routine that helps me spike my energy and get into the day, if you will, by listening to a lot of songs, and I'm moving around, I'm singing along, I'm dancing along, and that helps me get started with the day. And that is really important for me that I start the day on my own terms and conditions. I think in today's day and age, where once again, we get so many inputs, so many things are coming in through mail, through news, through those around us, and we are constantly like barraged with information before we have even taken a like a like we've gotten up and taken a deep breath and be like, oh, this is a start of a new day, kind of a thing. You're like constantly like overwhelmed with information that I decide that, hey, even if all of that crazy stuff happens, I call the start of my official day by listening to songs while I'm cleaning around the house. And I'm singing out loudly and I'm dancing around the house. But that sets the tone for me because I'm like, this has started. Now my day begins. And I call the shots of how the day is happening. And we were having a conversation about this earlier. Like, is life happening to us or are we the one in charge, kind of a thing? So yeah, I have that morning routine of listening to songs to get started. I also ensure that there are moments where I am dancing around the house while I'm working, or if I've been working for a really long time, I get up, I dance, or I move, or I do something that helps me move my body. Um, I also try to kind of bring in moments of emotional regulation that can look like if suddenly during the day I notice that there's a spike in any emotion. It can even be happiness, but like processing that happiness, like, ooh, like feeling it in my body and being like, oh, I'm happy, right? Or if I'm angry, navigating that anger, doing it in a way where it's healthily processed, but also being like, thank you for letting me know that this scenario angered me right now, and this is something that might have potentially made us feel angry in the past as well, so I can make plans to ensure that this doesn't happen again. So navigating my emotions, that is important for me. Emotional regulation. Sometimes I if I'm extremely stressed out, or if I feel like so many things are happening around me, I find myself just tapping with my four fingers very lightly on my chest and just taking a few deep breaths or doing it even for a longer moment of time, but it really helps me relax. I immediately find myself going, like my shoulders relax, my jaw unclenches, my eyebrows are no longer tensed, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you got this, you're here, you're safe, you're fine. And it helps you regulate yourself. I also, this is really funny, but I try to make myself yawn because that is also a vagus nerve regulation thingy. So you yawn and it's like, oh, your body is relaxed, and it kind of makes your brain think, oh, we are not in a stressful enough scenario right now. So let's kickstart the de-stressing process of it all. Our parasympathetic nervous system kicks off, and we are like in the rest and digest phase essentially. So that is also a great way to kind of like relax yourself. Another thing that I have is nighttime routine where I put on headphones. So song and movement is, and it's not even like hardcore movement, right? It's like things that make me feel relaxed and in my body. So one of my nighttime routines is I put on my headphones. I put on a really slow song. Sometimes it's Hosea because I love that beautiful artist who sings from his entire heart. And but yeah, I put on songs. I go to the balcony if of my house, because we live in a flat system. I can't really go out, but yeah, I go out to my balcony, close the door. There are plants around me. Sometimes I put my fingers right into the pot so that I can feel the wet earth, if you will, and that helps me ground. But yeah, I put on slow songs, hug myself, and then I just sway to the songs. I just allow it to move through me. And what that does is it helps me ground myself and also emotionally regulate myself. But one thing that's really crucial is when we are stressed out, our internal rhythm is disrupted. So we are in this spiky space of like, so many things are happening. Oh my gosh, our internal rhythm is completely disrupted. But by swaying or by bringing in moments which are rhythmic in its nature, it helps you ground yourself and once again triggers that let's de-stress, let's calm down, everything's fine kind of a thing. And yeah, that helps as well. So at the end of the day, the entire reason why I'm sharing all of these things is stress management techniques can look like anything as long as it taps into grounding yourself, which is like bringing yourself back into the present, movement based techniques, which helps you get rid of that excess energy that comes in when you're stressed out, or just allows you to like relax and get back into your body once again, or emotional regulation, which helps you navigate the internal friction that often comes up when we are stressed out. You navigate your emotions. It can be through journaling prompts, or it can be like writing out whatever comes to the top of your head, or sharing it with people, being in a space where you can be heard in a safe way, in a non-judgmental way. Or it can be just talking to yourself, which honestly I do a lot of times. And I think like a lot of people around me used to think that, wow, Madhurima's lost it. But then I used to feel like judged by that. But eventually I was like, you know what? I'm an entrepreneur. People already judge me. I'm going to give them a good reason to. So, but yeah, talking to yourself or something that helps you just navigate your emotions. And at the end of the day, do things that light you up, that energize you, that charge you, but also brings you back to yourself. And it's not like you're looking at yourself from an outside perspective going, huh, I hated that and I couldn't do anything about it, but being like, I hated that, I feel it, and this is what I'm going to do about it the next time this happens, or prevent it from happening in the first place. So yeah.
Beautiful. Wow. 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 So on the emotional regulation, I love this. I do a process called emotional resolution. And so in this emotional regulation, you were talking about how um, you're processing out your emotions and
Mhm.
you're processing it out through journaling. I heard you mention journaling and sharing with others in
Yeah.
a non-judgmental way in a safe space, and then also talking it out.
Hmm.
So in that, um, that if working through those emotions, what have you found, which one for you has been most beneficial? Have you found that it depended on what it was, or is there one that's kind of your go-to that you do?
So I have a framework that I love calling NNAALLM. I know it's a mouthful, but what I
A-A-L-L-M.
yeah. So it is essentially notice the emotion that you are notice that you are experiencing an emotion, that you are in a emotionally spiked up space. Name the emotion. I think by default people go into, oh, anger, sadness, happiness. But there is this beautiful tool called as mood meter that was
Mhm.
created by Mark Brackett that I absolutely love. Like I use it for check-ins inside my community every single day. But it is like a space where it tells you different moods and emotions that exist that are outside the realm of just anger, sadness, or happiness. It really dives in, like, how are you feeling right now, kind of a thing, based on the energy level and the pleasantness of that emotion, essentially. So notice that you are experiencing an emotion, name the emotion, what you are experiencing, acknowledge that you are experiencing it, that, hey, you know what, this is happening right now, accept that you are experiencing the emotion, which is really crucial. Sometimes people are like, acknowledgement and exception are the same thing. And I'm like, no, acknowledgement is like, this is happening. Accepting is like, this is happening. Like there is that bit of like, feeling it and being like, yeah, okay, yeah, you know what? That's fair. I'm mad or I'm pissed off right now. Oh, I'm mad and I'm pissed off right now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so far we have noticed, named the emotion, acknowledged it, accepted it. Then we lean into it. And when we lean into an emotion, that can look like processing it. Sometimes it happens through journaling and talking to people or talking out loud. But I am also a huge believer of somatic exercises, um, especially when you are in an extremely high emotional space. Like, for example, when I'm angry, I love to kind of like grab a pillow and just with my entire body just slam it onto the bed and do that as many times as I need. Once I did it up to 40 times. Um, and I paired it up with screaming, like a full primal scream. My mom came into the room. She looked at me and she walked off and she was like, I don't even want to know. I'm like, good, you don't want to know this stuff. But yeah, it really allows you to somatically process it. So it's no longer held in your body. But sometimes I also like, I have this routine once a month. I put on a movie that makes me cry, like bawl my eyes out. But it also is a great way to kind of like let go of any lingering emotion. Um, my favorite crying movie is PS I Love You. Anytime I watch it, I cry like a baby. Honestly, yeah, it's such a beautiful movie that it makes me cry every single time. But yeah, I watch that to kind of cry. But yeah, process it or leaning into that emotion however you need to, as long as you're doing it safely, you're not hurting yourself, you're not hurting other people. Lean into the emotion, have a conversation with it, which honestly a lot of times people are like, how can you have a conversation with your emotion? I'm like, you do the work. Sometimes I kind of imagine it as this blob or a shape. And I'm like, hey, let's say for example, you're angry. Hey, why are you angry? Oh, this happened, and we always had a conversation about this happening and this angering us or making us pissed off about life. And okay, I feel you. What can I do right now? How do we process this? How do we move through this? And the thing is, a lot of times, while it seems silly, we need to understand emotions exist for a reason, because they are allowing us to notice that this is something that we don't really like, but it keeps happening, or this is something that we absolutely love and it keeps happening. So what do we do to make sure that this keeps happening? What do we do to make sure that this thing that brings us joy so much so that we feel it all throughout our body can keep happening, so that it's not only limited to a single moment? So yeah, leaning into the emotion. Once you have leaned into it, once you've processed it so that it's no longer stuck in your body and you can breathe a bit more easily, then you let it go. Then you let it go from a space of like, okay, yeah, thank you for being here. Genuinely grateful that you are here, because you helped me understand a bit more about myself and the situation that I am in. Deeply, deeply grateful. I would love to let you go. You let it go. And then you move on. You move on with your life. So the NNAALLM, that's a framework that I always use.
AALLM. Let it go and then
Yep.
move on. I love it.
Okay.
Wow. That is impactful. Thank you for sharing that. That was just like a golden nugget the size of Texas. That was awesome. That's beautiful. And I love the way that the breathing and letting it go is really tied back into that acceptance piece of just, and when you were talking about acknowledge and acceptance, I heard acknowledge was more mental, whereas
Mhm.
acceptance was more
Yeah.
heart brain. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That was really
Absolutely.
beautiful. That was so beautiful. You have said so many powerful things today, Madhurima. You said that one of the things that you said earlier was start the day on your own terms and conditions. And
Mhm.
I feel that was so powerful because a lot of people that I know, they're subject to their day instead of their day being subject to them.
Mhm.
And you just described the way you put on the music and you dance around. You are literally starting the day on your own terms, and the day is subject to what you want to dictate it to be. And that is just so beautiful. And it's so empowering and, yeah, empowering. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm. Love that. So, would you be willing to share um, a particularly funny or memorable moment? You did mention the thing about your mom walked in on you when you were doing your primal scream, which I love that one, by the way. That's one of my favorites too. Grab that pillow and scream bloody murder into it.
Mm. Oh,
um, but but do you have any other memorable moments while practicing any of your stress management techniques that have been, you
yeah.
know,
There are a lot of them. So another technique that I have is called the King Kong tapping technique, which can be once again paired with primal scream. So you go right, like you're kind of like releasing it, but you're also tapping yourself softly on your chest, right? And you go And I always love sharing this technique because uh, when I was younger, we had those not the ceiling fans, we had those tabletop fans essentially, where if you would like speak into it or you would speak into it, it would go it would like
oh
make
yes.
yeah, it would make a funny sound. And when we were kids, we did not have access to phones because they were still up and coming, and like summer holidays were revolved around screaming into the tabletop fan or reading comics or doing stuff like this. But every time I do this technique, it's such a nostalgic memory for me because it immediately connects me to the you go and you can feel that sound and the vibration, and it's so relieving, honestly, that it makes me feel like a little kid. And I feel like this is always a funny technique for me because, uh, yeah, it brings back so many beautiful emotions of just being a kid in the summer holidays, have zero stress about anything school related, work related, don't have to think about anything else. Also, I was like a major, and I still am a major introvert, so I didn't really have to talk to people. I could just be in my own space reading my comic books and just chilling out and relaxing. So um it's definitely a favorite technique of mine because it instantly connects me to that nostalgic space, which is also a fun stress management technique when you're no longer in the chaos of the world and you are in moments of happiness and joy from your past, or if you want to recreate it in the present. It's such a great way to kind of bring yourself to this. All of that doesn't matter for now, this does, and I'm here and I'm happy, and life can honestly, I don't want to swear on the on the show, but yeah, life can do whatever it needs to do. I am happy in this moment, and that's all that matters. Is It's really powerful as well. But yeah.
That is super powerful. It brings out that childlike zest that
Mm-hmm.
really does curb stress. I
Yep.
love that. Love that. So you have a 5-day stress less challenge. Can you tell the listeners more about that and how they can participate?
Absolutely. I'm gonna drop a link, or I'm gonna share the link with Ashley so that people who are watching this live or replay can access it. But the 5 day stressless challenge once again taps into those three stress management elements. And I share 5 fun techniques that you can incorporate into your life easily. Uh, and it is not something that takes too much time, right? It's like quick wins, quick ways to kind of like manage your stress, and they can be incorporated so easily that it can be a part of your routine, irrespective of when you're doing it, whether you're doing it in the morning or the night or sometimes throughout the day. But it's a great way to kind of like bring in these moments, or these techniques that help you calm yourself, get back to your body, and have a stressless life. And so that's what the 5 day stressless challenge is all about, is takes you through that process. There are a couple of workshops already attached on the sign up page, and once you join the challenge, there will be another workshop that talks in detail and in depth about the three stress core elements, stress management core elements. And then the 5 day challenges, every day you get a challenge in your email and you can give it a try. And the entire conversation, or the entire point of the 5 day stressless challenge, is give it a try for 5 days. If it works, amazing. If it doesn't, chuck it out the window. No one cares, right? Do things that make sense for you, do things that lights you up. If none of the 5 stressless challenges or the 5 stressless techniques work for you, that's completely fine. At least you now have an idea what doesn't work for you. So that gives you the opportunity to explore what does. As long as it taps into those three elements, it can be anything. And that's the process, that's the journey. That's where we kind of put on our detective hats and be like, let's explore, you know? So yeah, that's what the 5 day stressless challenge is about.
So can people start at any time, or do you have a certain
Yes.
day that you start?
No,
Okay.
no, no. It's pretty much ongoing, evergreen kind of a thing. So as soon as you sign up, you can start. You get those emails. You can watch those emails whenever you want to, or like, check out those emails whenever you want to and give it a try. But I would say, like, try it consistently for 5 days,
Mhm.
um, as opposed to doing it once and then kind of forgetting about it and then coming back to it after a month or so. Kind of just be with it and see what works, what doesn't. But yeah, give it a try. And if it works, it works. And I know if
That's
it does.
awesome. You know,
I've
in
heard it does.
in things like a 5-day challenge, there's always a little nugget of something that
Mm,
people can take away, right? And if it's free, you have nothing to lose. The only thing you have to gain is a little bit more peace. So
mm.
give the 5-day challenge a try. Madhurima, is there any last thing that you'd like to leave with our listeners, and especially a way to connect with you?
Absolutely. I would say that it's absolutely all right if you're experiencing stress. This is not this devilish thing that kind of makes you feel lonely. As in, you don't have to feel alone about the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm stressed. I'm the only one who's stressed. Pretty much everyone is going through it. That is life in its journey. And honestly, we are evolutionary beings. That means we are always trying to grow, always trying to evolve, always trying to push through and to succeed, and then push through just a tad bit more. And so, if you experience stress because of these new experiences, that's completely all right. You're moving and growing and evolving. But yeah, remember, the conversation is never about not getting stressed out at all. The conversation is about how quickly can you get out of it? How long are you staying there? And if you are there and you're aware that, hey, I'm stressed out, how quickly can you get out of it? You have got this. This is a fun journey. I'm so glad that you took the leap of faith to listen to the show, because it's the first part. Having that awareness that, oh my gosh, I might be stressed, or oh my gosh, you know what? You're right. I don't need to be stressed. I can explore this and figure out what works and what doesn't for me. So, kind of deep dive and explore it a bit more. That is amazing because you've taken that first step. And that's one of the most difficult steps to take. Once you've taken that, then you just need to keep one foot in front of another and keep going. But yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Don't worry, you can get out of this. You can reach out to me on any of the social media. So, Madhurima Sappatti, if you type that, you will find me on my website, madhurimasappatti.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. on Instagram, on Facebook, get in touch with me and I'd be happy to support you. If you loved my wife, I'm glad that you're here. Get in touch with me. If you didn't love my wife, that's completely all right. There are so many more amazing people outside in this beautiful world supporting people through stress management. Reach out to someone else. Get out there and connect and start exploring this, because you deserve a stress free life. You deserve a life where you can thrive without stress holding you back from your dreams and your ambitions and your goals. But yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, please do. I would love to support you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, Madhurima, thank you. You are such a beautiful soul. You are. The light just shines through from you. And it has just been such a pleasure to have you on Ashley's Heart Song. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, y'all, this concludes this portion of Ashley's Heart Song. We're going to be breaking over and going over to the Q&A, but be sure and join us next week as we continue to armor up our lives here on Ashley's Heart Song on the Win Win Women TV network. Much love and a big old hug. I will see y'all next time.